What is the one piece of advice you'd like to give to our listeners?
Upskill, reskill. We need to keep learning. I mean, we need to keep investing in ourselves. We need to explore areas where we can be better and improve and change.
Just keep learning.
Just keep learning. Learning is a journey. Life is a journey.
Fasting or not fasting, just keep learning.
You have to keep learning.
Thank you for listening to the podcast thus far. The one favor I would ask, if you can, if you're enjoying what you're listening to, is to press the follow and subscribe button on whatever media platform you listen to us, as it helps us grow our network and grow the podcast. So thank you and enjoy the podcast. Hello and welcome back to Alchemy Uncensored Podcast. We're on our third season and we promise you that we'll bring in more valuable insights into the financial and tax sector of the UAE. Today, we've got Maher Sabbagh. Maher is a senior HR executive with 20 years of success in developing human capital, HR transformation, and workforce strategies, and leading organizational restructuring programs across APAC, Africa, and the Middle East, across FMCG, real estate, fintech, technology, and retail industries. Today's episode covers the impact of people-centric approach, the power of networking, fostering a positive culture, and the importance of strong collaboration across key business functions and more. So, Maher, Kifak.
Thank you very much, Conor. Yes, I'm good. I'm fine. Appreciate the introduction and happy to be here. And good morning to you and to your dear listeners as well.
Yeah, thank you. And we're recording this, I think, on the last week of the holy month, I think. So,
yeah.
How's it been? You're looking good.
It's one of the fastest months, to tell you the truth. I have no issue with eating and being fasting, no problem at all. I just crave for some coffee.
Just coffee, yeah.
I just miss coffee, yeah. But the rest is fine. Everything's okay. It's a good month to keep it light in terms of what you eat, how you maintain the discipline, and how you really rejuvenate.
And out of interest then, of course, I'm not fasting this month, but what differences do you see? Like energy levels better or is sleeping better? I guess your body clock is a bit different at the moment, but how is it for the body?
For the body, I feel lighter. To tell you the truth, in Ramadan, I tend to maintain very good discipline. To me, it's a normal day. I just sleep as usual, like 10:30, whatever, and wake up in the morning.
Yeah, and for our listeners, you're here at 11:30 now, so it's probably right in the middle of the day.
And I wake up in the morning, perform my day regularly, and I have only one meal, which is the iftar. No sahur, and that's it for me. So really, it's and the body got used to it.
Yeah.
So I cannot eat at night. And I feel that my system is adjusting.
Perfect. Well, look, really excited to get you on today because, you know, for a lot of our listeners, a lot of our guests usually are focused around finance, you know, CFOs, FDs, etc. While, you know, there's one other key aspect within any organization which maybe sometimes can get overlooked from the finance job seekers. And that is the HR side of the business. And obviously you're from the CHRO, you know, you're HR leader, having been in the region for so long. So I think it's also very important for listeners to understand, you know, the relevance, because in an interview process, you will have to cover HR at some point in the interview process. So we want to get a feel for effectively the finance guy, the hiring manager from finance may be looking at some certain skill set, while HR executive will be looking for a different side of things. So we want to cover as much as we can, have an open chat, get some insights from yourself and see how we go.
That's perfect.
Let's go for it.
Sounds good.
So I guess the first area we want to cover is, you know, the people-centric organization. So for you, what does that mean?
I've been really blessed for the past majority of my career working with international businesses across different regions, different countries. I worked in like 10 different countries. Between Asia Pacific, Africa, Middle East, part of Europe, Baltics market. And being with this company under the great leadership where we were always focusing that, okay, consumer is the king, okay? But no, we have this thing that our people are the king. So we had this discussion among our leadership team that what can we do all the time to our people to keep performing? Because the secret of success is to ensure you have people who are engaged, people who are motivated, listened to, supported, and they feel safe. So working in these international businesses, these open-minded, forward-thinking, different countries, it gives us more exposure and more insights into how we can deal with people, how we can bring people on board. Why I'm saying this? Because majority of my assignments were in an extreme hardship locations, as we call it. I mean, I've done like 7 years in Sudan.
Yeah.
I've done like 6.5 years in Iran.
Yeah.
And I've done like 3 years in Bangladesh. So as a foreigner, when you go to these different countries, people expect, okay, so business will continue, but what's in it for us? What's in it for me? What can we do? So this is where we tend to focus on becoming a people-centric organization in order to ensure that it takes two to tango. It's not only like ticking the box. You have tasks, you have, certain responsibilities you need to deliver, and I come to you as your whatever CHRO or your superior. What have we done? Whatever. No, we approach it. What has been done good? What can we do better next time? How we can support in making it better? And the most important thing in operating in these different cultures is to have the cultural sensitivity.
Yeah.
So you understand what people needs. Some countries, a tap on the shoulder means a lot. Some countries, a weekly meeting with the superior, with the senior people, with the senior management, that means a lot. So this is where I say that being a people-centric, thinking about your people, driving the achievement, and being a true leader, this will really makes a difference into the business productivity.
It's probably just sounds so simple, but gets missed by, I think, so many organizations. And I guess one point I want to just deep dive into, because it's such a common thing. Anyone who listens to me, I'm sure they're sick of me bringing up this point, but you mentioned the point you obviously worked with that organization for, I think, quite a few years. You were obviously seen as a sort of a fixer within the organization, or as you said, you were sent to, from the outside would be very difficult locations to work in, but you were that guy within the global organization that was seen to send him in there and he'll be able to help. So is that something that you felt that within the organization to progress, you sort of pivoted different ways, got different experiences? And
the key thing, in my opinion, which really supported me to grow and nurture in my career, that I like to pull up my sleeves. When we think about, okay, we go to an assignment, we go to a location, we go to a place that is difficult, you don't wear the hat of the C-suite and you just sit behind four walls and you close the door. No. If you're not one of the team, if you're not on the ground, if you are not part of the
trenches,
and then go through the adventure with the people. First of all, you'll not get the things and to get the right understanding.
The buy-in.
The buy-in, and to understand what's going on, what is the reality. Okay, if you sit behind your desk, then you don't know what's going on out there, then you'll start losing it. But I believe that what drove me into these countries is I like to be engaged with people. I like to be in communication with people. And above all is to be part of the business, to understand the business. So I enjoy working with different levels in the organization, different mentality, different people, and absorb everyone and understand everyone, which will take us to another word that I like to use, which is being an empathetic person. That gives me a lot of access.
I think empathy is the big thing in this part of the world, where there is culturally, it is so vast, and it's, I guess, probably credit to yourself then that you can understand so many different cultures, having worked especially in a CHRO position, that you need to have that, I guess, emotional intelligence to, understand the room.
Absolutely. And when you go, Conor, when you move to different locations, different countries, the HR would be the first one to go there. So you need to understand the culture. And what makes it also challenging and enjoyable as well, that when you start to deploy the team, okay, you will deploy people from different nationalities, different cultures. So this is where you need to understand how to support them to navigate and to settle in. For example, you go to Sudan and you bring a team, Switzerland, Germany, France, Tanzania, Turkey. So look at the mix.
Makeup there is very different.
So the Swiss would think that they come and things happens by the book, by the catalog, time-wise, etc. No, this is where you need to be part of the whole cycle. And this is something that really add to my skills, which is growing my cultural sensitivity and understanding.
And then for our listeners who are outside the region, then coming into UAE, how would you compare UAE compared to the other locations, where in the other locations, I'm assuming for the most part, it was predominantly, a local workforce, or here it's a bit of everything, isn't it?
Yeah, the experience in UAE, it's totally, it's a unique one, because you're talking about maybe 200 different nationalities in this city. Look at the rapid speed and the growth of the country and the city. But what I like is there is no secret formula or a magic word you say to put things together, but this is where you need to understand different levels, different people. UAE is moving so fast, especially post-COVID. Plus, the UAE is catching a lot on the new trends in HR. We're talking about like new way of working, work from home, hybrid, different style of working. Plus, look at the boom in different sectors.
Yeah.
So you need to adjust, you need to adapt. There are ups and downs, there are difficulties, challenges. And I don't like to say that the higher you go, the less technical you do. No, the higher you go, the more you need to be engaged in this market. And above all is to ensure that there is internal communication going on.
Yeah, well,
understanding as well.
Yeah, because again, I'm only looking from afar, but I would say HR here is probably as difficult as anywhere in the world. And the reasons why is, one, the hybrid, the remote working space. It's been a big challenge here. We see it more and more now where companies that aren't adopting are actually losing talent. Well, 5 years ago or pre-COVID, the mentality was you were in the office every day. And I imagine HR are the first guys that are getting the emails from staff saying, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? So I imagine there's quite a bit of firefighting. And the way it's going is because we've so many expats or people from outside the region where this is the norm. And then you come into this place, which everything looks glitz and glamour, lovely buildings, nice roads. And you're like, you're not even doing these things. So that's one challenge I imagine you guys have. And also, look, the honest reality is that in this part of the world, some of the laws around for employees, it is a bit more difficult. And HR probably put into a position sometimes where difficult conversations are probably more common than maybe in a more mature market. So interesting to get your take.
I love these challenges, and I like these challenges because I see an opportunity in these challenges. I mean, if you, with all what you've mentioned and put it all together, this gives us some room for innovation and to things outside the box. But what is best than leading by example? Everything is changing, but look at the top leadership in this country, what they are creating. They are promoting happiness. They are encouraging engagement, communication, transparency, supporting each other. Look at the statistics where it says, what's the happiness level in the UAE? So if we cascade this downward, we can really benefit. We can come up with lots of innovative solutions. And when I look at it that from an opportunity perspective, this drives me from an HR perspective, that to say, okay, what do we need to do to make this successful? What can we deliver to our business? Okay, we need to understand the business. We need to understand how things are working, but what is the understanding of the people? This is where our role comes into step, and to instill that trust among the top management, which will cascade downward, because the team, when they see there is a trust at the top level and everybody is supporting each other, working for the same goal, for the same objectives, things will go naturally. Okay, I'm not saying I'm not paving 100% bright picture, but there are ups and downs.
Nothing's perfect.
Nothing is perfect, absolutely. But when you have this trust and cascade down, everyone will be working in a safe environment. Everybody will be able to deliver, and things can adapt. So the other thing is collaboration among the top management. So when you see this trust and collaboration and engagement and supporting each other, things will go smooth. But still, I mean, there are difficult discussions, which is healthy, which is needed. Otherwise, if you go into the same, mode, then there is no progress.
And then one word you mentioned there, collaboration. And as I said, a lot of our podcasts are targeted at CFOs, finance guys. But for the job seeker and for the CFO and the finance guy, sometimes I see in processes when the CHRO and the CFO are not aligned. It can sometimes be the detriment of a process, but how important is that for you, relationships with of course we mentioned there's other departments as well, but, focusing on the CFO or the finance lead, how important?
That is very important. All my entire career, wherever I go, wherever I do in all the companies, I work very closely with the finance team, actually finance and IT as well. Because to me, it's very important to build this relation and to make sure that I am the consultant for the business from an HR perspective. And when my work is going to translate into numbers, so there is another consultant who sits next to me, free of charge. You know,
Yeah, no, exactly.
I just go to the finance. I go to CFO. I need an advice.
Yeah.
Why not? If I need to do the right thing for the sake of the business, okay, and we work together, and as I mentioned earlier, it takes two to tango.
Exactly.
Why not? Well, it's when you design a program, when you design a project, you want to do savings, you need to talk to finance.
The HR is about the people. As you said, people-centric organization. And of course, if you want to invest in people, sometimes investment means money, and it means investing in certain things.
Yes.
And ultimately, the gatekeeper for that is the CFO.
Exactly.
So it is just so important that he or she sees the value you're trying to bring, which,
Absolutely.
as you said, will trickle down.
100%. I always say that our finance are our safety valve.
Yeah.
If you have the pressure increase, they're the safety valve. They're the people who will give you the green light, red light, or orange. Be careful.
Yeah.
But the important thing is, as long as from an HR point, I know myself, I know my capability, I know what I'm doing, and I understand the business, then I sit with the finance, we talk commercial, we talk business. It's not that I'm putting myself in my silo and the finance put themselves in silo. No, we need to work together so we can at least, drive things together. And at the end, when we come up with the results needed and share it with the top management, with our CEO, see, this is the numbers. And when I go to CEO, present my project, and I have the finance endorsement, I go there with more confidence. By the way. Yes.
Yeah.
Because at the end, we look at the bottom line, P&L, bottom line, numbers. Okay. So what can we do? Recruitment. I mean, you work in the recruitment.
Yeah.
How much does it cost?
Yeah. Bad hire can cost you quite a lot.
Yeah. And the most important thing is, to me, I enjoy also is aligning with finance on the budgeting. HR would say, no, finance cannot see salaries, compensation, whatever. Yeah, okay, fine. But they can see the bottom line, the full number, and they can give you direction. We need to work it out together. All my assignments, all my work was really working very in harmony with finance to ensure that we are on the same page. And this brings us back to the word of trust. Yeah. Because we established this trust, and HR knows what they're doing. We're confident, and finance also, which makes it really enjoyable.
Your sort of experience and, again, your viewpoint, for me, is lacking so much, I think, sometimes in this part of the world where, at the end of the day, playing devil's advocate, we're a recruitment business.
Yeah.
People only call us when they're unhappy. I'm still to have a candidate say, hey, Conor, I love my job. Can you find me a new job? It's very much the opposite. And it can be sometimes the workplace environment, their boss, or, there's so many different factors where, as you said, I think having this influence is so powerful for a business, but I think sometimes it gets overlooked, obviously. And that's True. Even for finance, we see it where, companies, they don't invest properly in their finance function. Instead of hiring a finance director, they hire a finance manager, which is fine. But again, you're not going to get the same return on that. So, one thing I want to touch on now, Maher, and I think we've developed our relationship together through events, through networking. You have a very good personal brand on LinkedIn. Let's just touch on that. The value you've seen on networking, internally, externally, how it's helped you in your career.
I always say that, your network is your net worth. And it's nice to grow your network and your connections beyond your specialty, because this will really open your horizon and broaden your thinking. To me, I enjoy talking to people. Maybe you would perceive me like a people connector. I like to go to meet with people and connect people. I like to share the knowledge, not to keep it to myself. Why? No. But having a network internally, it's very important when you are in a company and you have good contacts with people, good connections with people, you will understand what's going on. I'm not saying that you need to release your ears and gossiping. No, we're not talking this. We're
gossiping is a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. But when you have a network, when people trust you, when people perceive you that you are the person who listens, okay, and when you are working in a company and you're empowered and you help people, you support people, you listen to their needs, you try to translate what they're doing, this really gives you more and more, let's say, solid ground to support your business and to support yourself and to grow yourself as well. Because we are social by nature. We're
social butterflies.
Absolutely. So if when we talk to each other, we learn from each other. And it's very important. Otherwise, I don't want to get complacent, say, no, I know it all, and I put myself in this box, in this silo. Then I will be like an ignorant.
Yeah, and even for people, listeners, finance or tax, that's why it's important to build a relationship with HR executives within the company, because people forget, from an internal perspective, you need cheerleaders when you're not in the room. And I'm sure, Maher, you've been in situations where you're in a boardroom and complaints come in about some employee, etc. And if you've no relationship with that person, you're never going to influence the thing. Well, if if that person has built up a relationship with you, for good or for bad, you can influence an outcome. While, and it goes back to my point where, the Gen Z who are looking for this fully remote environment where, how are you ever going to develop? How are we ever going to be able to manage people? On a podcast we just done prior to this, with AI, it's going to make things more efficient, but AI is not going to take over managing someone. It's not going to take over developing someone. And for me, that's the biggest skill set, which I can see there being so much value to that. But then on the other side, we're dealing with a generation coming up that doesn't really want that, because they want to stay by themselves and stay. And so that's where
it is.
That's where I see the gaps anyway. But
it is interesting thing, Conor, when you discuss or mention the Gen Z. I mean, I have a Gen Z at home.
Yeah,
my daughter. But my daughter now, she's working, and I tend to ask her every other day, "What's your plans? Home or office?" I don't know. I'll decide tomorrow morning. Wow, this is amazing. I mean, that to me, that's something has been really evolved post-COVID. Okay, which also triggered that the importance of connecting with people and networking, but also understanding the new generations who are coming into the work, into the business, and what can we do to this generation. By the way, the Gen Z, they don't only look at money. What's in it for them?
Exactly. That's
even they are willing to be paid in crypto as well, But managing Gen Z and AI, it's an interesting topic. I mean, we need maybe another session for this one. But I always say
series.
AI is here to stay and here to help us, and we need to build on this new era.
The one big thing I would say is, as I said, we always hear people that they never ring us if they're happy. But flipping that then on you, how would you go about it if you were starting a role where the CEO said, "We have a terrible culture." The CFO says, "I've lost half my team. They don't like me," or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then they say to you as the HR, the CHRO, how are you going to change this?
Okay, to tell you the truth, first thing when it comes to my mind says, okay, if first, culture is not owned by HR. Culture is the identity. Culture is driven by the top level management. So I would maybe ask the CEO, so what did we do wrong? What are we doing now? Let's look into ourselves, reflect, and see where are we today, where do we want to go, and what we need to change. The first thing we need to ask ourselves, before we start to change people, we need to change ourselves. And that's very challenging one. And
very challenging, I'd say.
And this is something doesn't come overnight. And this is where if you establish your corner, your position on the round table, and speak the business, and create this trust among the people that you talk to, among your peers, you will be listened to. But the first thing when it comes to me from a CEO, if we have a horrible culture, says, okay, what's our contribution to this horrible culture? Nothing is personal. We need to admit, we need to accept, and we need to change so we can move on. Then we can cascade this downward.
Developing the relationships internally. As you said, of course, it's not all on you, but you are the guy ultimately who's going to be getting the complaints coming your way on exit interviews, or if you're interviewing, they say, "I heard about this about you, about the company, etc." So I think, as you said, it is developing the relationships, being at that table, being heard, and I think your point there, which I really loved, is they need to change themselves.
Yes.
And I think because in this environment where you have a lot of bullish people sometimes that, everybody likes change until you have to implement it. Everybody likes the idea of a nice PowerPoint. This is what we need to do. But then until it happens.
When you mentioned this, I just remembered one thing happened between me and one CEO, a family business. He's been leading the business for the past 20 years. He built an empire from scratch. So I was the new kid in the block. Coming into this company, we worked amazingly. We've done lots of things in 6 months' time. But then I reached to a point after 6 months, I was able to establish this connection and tell him, you need to let go of X, Y, Z so things will move. And you need to instill trust and confidence in your people. So it wasn't easy for him to accept me telling him he needs to let go. Okay? because they need to handle and to hold on everything.
It's their baby.
Yeah, but this is the key thing. You need to have the confidence, the courage, the strength to say it. And all of this is not because of character or personality. It's because of business acumen, understanding the business, where you can delegate, what you can delegate, how you can move things. And this comes by listening to people, understanding people, talking to people. And this is where if a complaint comes to you, I'm an HR. I should be the first person to receive the complaint, whether it's an exit interview or what. And I need to work on it, analyze it, share it with the right people in the right way. And it's all about how you say it, not what you say.
Yeah. The biggest one close on there is that it's sometimes what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And I think that's probably the best way of finishing that out. And I think it is so important. And as you said, especially in UAE, and for our listeners that are not in the region, there are so many family businesses here. And there are some of the biggest businesses, some of the best businesses. There, of course, everything is mixed. But you will have families that it is their baby. They're not part of a big global multinational, which is getting instructions from here, and there's governance here and there, where here it is very different. And that is a challenging thing.
Absolutely.
For anyone.
Absolutely, Conor. I mean, if you look 100%, I mean, look at family businesses, first generation, second generation, then third generation will be an extreme question mark on the continuity. And this is where, coming back to what UAE is doing now, His Highness the Ruler of Dubai, they established like a family business council, something in the government, which will help the transition or support in the transition. But it's not easy. But this is where, from an HR, you need to work on succession planning and talent management. And this is what's really now in need for this market in UAE, is to drive the succession management and to identify successor for the business to sustain and continue to grow. Family businesses here, they hold or they manage big sectors.
As for me, when I came here, every brand, global brand, was pretty much under a family business. And you know, you say that group there, you realize they are boom, 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 boom. Which again, if you're not from here or working here, you wouldn't understand.
Absolutely.
So like that's the joys of the UAE for anyone who wants to come in here. The closing remark from your side is, you know, what is the one piece of advice you'd like to give to our listeners?
Upskill, reskill. We need to keep learning. I mean, we need to keep investing in ourselves. We need to explore areas where we can be better and improve and change.
Just keep learning.
Just keep learning. Learning is a journey. Life is a journey.
Fasting or not fasting, just keep learning.
You have to keep learning. Absolutely.
Well, look, Maher, look, thank you for that. That was excellent. We're just going to close on a few quick fire questions, just for our listeners, and to get a bit of a feel for yourself as a person. So, you know, if you had 24 hours left in the world, and please God, that doesn't come anytime soon, how would you like to spend it?
It goes without a say. When you mention this, family. Stick to your family, stay your family, spend time with your family. Family is everything. To me, family comes first.
What one quote or line, you know, that you've read has changed your perspective, you know, on life or on work, or, you know?
Do not feel sad or bad for things didn't happen your way, because there is something better lined up.
Take the emotion out of it.
Yeah, I mean, you have the right to have self compassion. You have the right to be upset, whatever. But keep the faith and believe that what is not happening the way you want, that means the universe is putting it in a different, better way. Now, when I say universe, it depends on everyone's beliefs. Of
course, yeah.
But it's going to be a different and better thing for you.
I think that's probably your credit to your emotional intelligence, given the position that you've held. I'm sure you've had to, you've seen and heard a lot. But look, Maher, thank you for that. That was excellent. A lot of good golden nuggets there for our listeners. And I think we'll have to get you back on again for another episode in due course.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Perfect. Thank you. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and make sure to subscribe to our podcast. See you on our next episode.